Chairman of the Hartford Board of Education, I hereby call to order the July 22nd, 2014 regular meeting of the Board. I wish to extend a warm welcome to everyone present and to our television viewers. The Board, the Superintendent, and I are pleased that you have taken the time to join us as we celebrate achievement, review information, and make policy decisions related to the effective operation of the Hartford Public Schools. This is a regular meeting, and all items that will be discussed or voted upon this evening have been posted as required by state law. As the Hartford Board of Education, we are here to set goals, to listen to reports of the superintendent, to approve budgets, contracts, and personnel appointments, and to make policy for the district. We are not here to make management decisions or solve the problems of individuals. Management is the responsibility of the superintendent. The monthly meetings of the board are open to the public. They are the time when the board conducts its business of governing the school system in a public arena. The regular meetings are not meetings with the public, therefore comments from the audience will be confined to the time designated for the public to address the board. Decorum and courtesy are important elements in effective public meetings. Please silence your cell phones or communication devices. Say that again, please silence your cell phones or communication devices. Don't be that guy. And refrain from talking while others are speaking. Since it is legally mandated that proceedings be accurately recorded, I may have to ask for order periodically should noise begin to interfere with our recording capabilities. I am pleased that you have taken the time to join us this evening. We are very proud of the school system, and we thank you for your interest in and support of the Hartford Public Schools. Ms. Dorfman, please call the roll.
Richard Waring.
Here.
Jose Colon Rivas.
Here.
Beth Taylor. Greg Stallings. Mayor Pedro Segarra.
Here.
Shelley Best.
Here.
Michael Brescia.
Here.
Robert Cotto Jr. Matthew Poland. We have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll move on to the dialogue session. 3 minutes for each speaker. At 2 minutes, Ms. Dorfman will give you the bell, and at 3 minutes, she will give you the second bell. At the 2-minute mark, please start wrapping up what you're saying, and at the 3-minute mark, please give way to your next speaker. It is not fair to keep talking as others do try to keep to the 3-minute mark. So with that, the first speaker of the new school year, Millie Arseniegas.
Good evening, Dr. Narvaez. Did I say that right? Narvaez? And honorable board members. I want to talk about 4 areas of concern that I have for quite some time that I believe that if we can get on the right track, it would improve student achievement and improve family engagement and everything that we have. Number 1, portfolio directors. Parents need to get a clearer understanding of who they are, number 1, and what is their role. And also, how can we meet them as parents? When do we go to them as parents? So that really needs to be clearly defined. We have a principal, Renzulli, fabulous principal, that's no longer going to be with Hartford Public Schools. Don't know what happened there, but we're losing great talent. The SGC policy, this is a policy that parents, well, not a policy, but this is a state law that parents had fought for in Hartford and every other town. And we really need to clearly define or interpret this correctly. There was a vice principal selected at Clark without the school governance council. So I went to the talent management office and I asked the question. And the feedback to me was, well, let me take it to the lawyer and the superintendent. So if we're already providing this training to parents throughout the entire year, and they think that they have to be a part of that process, Why do we need to get lawyers involved? We don't have lawyers to interpret things, so. And communication. Communication is the key to success in everything. Even this board meeting tonight, I think that, we don't publicize it enough. We have School Messenger, we have all of these great tools that we can use to say there is a board meeting and it's going to be at this location this time around. Even if it's 3 days in advance, that would be a good thing, so that parents can start understanding this process and how important it is for them to be a part of it. And as it relates to choice, choice is a huge area of concern to parents. We have families that are losing their jobs because they're having to take their kids to the bus stop, and they're having to pick up their kids at the bus stop. So there is no, even though we try to do our best with after-school programs and before-school programs, the timing of these jobs that they have, which is shift jobs, is very difficult for them to keep a job and to take their kids to school. So, I hope that choice in its entirety is looked at very, very carefully, and parents can also be a part of that, so that we can know what the barriers are. I hope that we consider that as we keep moving forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emily. Jonathan Siemens.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks for this opportunity. I am the parent chair of the SGC at Montessori Magnet at Moylan, and I just wanted to take a minute or two to thank the board for its continued support of the school, and both as a school and as a building, because one of the items on the docket for tonight is the funding for our incubation location, and so I just wanted to urge support of that, and thank you again for everything you've done and will continue to do for the school. We really do appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Nancy Mendez.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Superintendent, and the board. My name is Nancy Mendez, and I'm a resident of the city of Hartford. I do have children in the Hartford Public Schools, one in a community school, and another one in a magnet school. I see great growth in the city of Hartford with the Hartford Public Schools. And I encourage you to continue the support with our magnet growth. I think there's great potential. My son has been in Montessori Magnet for the past 6 years. He is doing amazing work. I wish that each one of you will get a chance to come visit our schools. I think you will be greatly changed. I mean, you're sitting here to make decisions, and I encourage you to come take a look how it affects us, how it affects our children. One of the main parts of tonight's meeting is to continue the funding for our school, to really solidify what we are and how we serve our community. A majority of our students are from the city of Hartford. For 5 years, we were a community school. This year, we became Magnet, which is wonderful because it opens the door to opportunity for other children outside of our city. And I wouldn't change it for the world. And I really want you to be encouraged to come and visit and to continue your support and to vote yes on today's topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Martin Edger.
ladies and gentlemen of the board, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mayor, my name is Martin Edgar, and I'm a rank and file member of the Hartford Federation of Substitute Teachers Local 1800E. I'm here tonight to bring up an issue of importance to our union and regular citizens in general. It deals with freedom of information and assembly within the Hartford School District. It deals with freedom of information and assembly in the Hartford School District, and over the past several years, there have been challenges to getting public information from the Board of Education that were for legitimate public documents. And the board's legal counsel and labor relations chief continues to impede the ability to get that information to the public. Several requests to release board documents have been denied and had to be appealed to the State FOI Commission, which decided in favor of their release over the past 8 years, including the banning of the public from a Board of Education meeting held in February of 2012, all of which are enclosed to the superintendent. Back in October 2013, I requested a copy of my insurance policy, and her office gave me an extremely hard time over procuring a copy of it. Even now, I have an outstanding FOI request that has been made on June 13th that has not been addressed for over a month and should have been sent a long time ago, since it is common information that I've requested many times before. In all FOI cases, the labor relations chief that was involved either directly or indirectly in the denial of public documents and had to be consulted about public participation in board meetings, since she is the legal consultant to the superintendent and reviews all FOI requests that are sent to the board. In addition, as the evidence enclosed shows, the labor relations chief's name has been cited as a defendant in many FOI complaints as well. This problem has been created because there has been a lack of oversight on the part of the previous superintendents to urge the labor relations chief to comply with FOI laws, and I certainly hope that it is about to change with the new administration. If not, I will continue to take legal action through the FOI Commission to make sure that the board does comply. My dad fought for this country in World War II, as many Americans did from Afghanistan to the Revolution, and they fought and died for those freedoms of assembly, speech, and information. And it is time that the superintendent make it clear once and for all to the labor relations chief to release all legitimate public documents to those who request them and stop harassing the people that make those requests. Remember, the engines of democracy are the freedoms that we have, and anyone who challenges those legal rights should be reprimanded. I would like to close with a quote from James Madison, who once said, and I quote, "A popular government without popular information, or the means of acquiring it, is but a prologue to a farce or a tragedy, or perhaps both." Thank you for listening, and good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Edgar. Michael Downs.
Good evening, board, Mr. Chairman, Superintendent. My name is Michael Downs. I live at 74 Rosemont Street in Hartford. I'm president of the Hartford Federation of Substitute Teachers. And I'd like to take this time as a resident and citizen of the city of Hartford to welcome the new superintendent to our city, and I hope you enjoy your stay here. I look forward to working in the future with you. One thing, another issue with the problems that Fuse has been having recently. Well, I was just thinking that maybe the board would consider making Jamoki a magnet school rather than a charter school or a neighborhood school. Also, I might consider in the future, the near future, to bring back the middle school system. We're one of the few districts in the state that doesn't have a middle school system, and this certainly would take some of the relief and stress off the neighborhood schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Downs. Paul Holzer.
Good evening, board members, honorable mayor, Dr. Narvaez. My name is Paul Diego Holzer. I'm the executive director of Achieve Hartford, Harvard's education advocacy group. First off, I'd like to welcome Dr. Narvaez to the job and to Hartford. We look forward to partnering with you and wish you the best. Today, we are issuing our first annual open letter to the superintendent and community, urging full community attention to ways we can build and sustain the momentum of Hartford school improvement. We think so much has been accomplished, as you well know, over the last 8 years, but school improvement work is way too far from complete. And we believe that right now, school improvement efforts will hinge on whether a stronger unity of purpose can be built across the community and all government and non-government partners. I think like everybody else, Achieve Hartford is just one entity. As we focus on how to significantly step up our game, which you'll see in the upcoming few months, we respectfully ask everyone who cares about Hartford children to do the same. And this point of transition represents a point of opportunity, we think, and we're very optimistic. In our open letter, we provided you, I think Vivian has given you copies, but also they're available on the back table for the public. We're suggesting 4 priorities that the community can focus on for improving Hartford schools at this critical point of leadership transition. The first is broad and deep communications, which other folks continue to bring up, that dare to dig into the most severe challenges in Hartford schools so that trouble spots can be fully addressed. The second is trusting relationships that can begin to tap and fully mobilize the resources of the community and hopefully build a new era of trust between education leaders and school neighborhoods. The third is government leaders getting much more on the same page, from city council to the mayor's office to the board to the district. And the fourth is a focus on execution over strategy. We've said this before, but we have to make sure that our great ideas in Hartford are passing the results tests. 8 years in, one thing is clear. We will not accomplish any of our goals without greater unity of purpose among the entire community, and that goes from board, city, council tables, really to every kitchen table. In our letter, we articulate some ways in which we can accomplish that, and those were derived from really being an observer these last 6 years, an advocate, and really from the community and listening as best we can. To close, I just want to say on behalf of my staff and my board, we look forward to working with you, Dr. Narvaez, and with the Board of Ed to build positive momentum in these early parts of the transition. And again, our work is in service of the entire community, and we thank the community for their support. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Holzer. And that brings to a close community comment, and I can assure Dr. Narvaez it's usually not this short, and slightly more controversial. Item 5, reports. Report of the chair. The chair just has 2 very brief items. The first, Dr. Narvaez needs no introduction, obviously. I think she's been fully introduced to all of us. But I just wanted to note, those of us who've had a chance to work with her since July 1st, it's really been wonderful and refreshing. She's hardworking, optimistic but realistic, open and engaging, and extremely self-effacing, and brings to our district, I think, exactly the right sort of skills and personal qualities that we need at this time. And I for one, or I don't know if there's anyone in this district that's happier than I am that she's here today. So I wanted to make that part of my report. Second, this is an unusual meeting because it's the first regular meeting that we've had in July, I think, in as long as anyone can remember, and I'll tell you why we're here. When I came on the board, I asked why there was no meeting in July, and I won't say who told me this, but I was told, oh, we're closed in July. And I thought to myself, closed? Why are we closed? Well, people take vacation, so we close. And people may go on vacation, people may not be here, people may be out, they may be out sick, they may be at conferences, whatever. But the idea that somehow we're closed, the idea that somehow we're not working in the summer, or that there's a whole month where we're not doing anything, until our schools are as good as anybody else's, we're not closed, okay? And we're gonna be here every July until we've closed the achievement gap, and we'll probably be every July after that, for as long as I'm chairman, because there'll still be work to do then. And I don't mean to be unnecessarily difficult, but I think it's important that, this is education's a 12-month-a-year thing, and there are so many kids who depend completely upon the things we do or don't do, that we can never take the attitude that we're closed, even when the lights are off, we're still open, because we should still be thinking about this, we should still be working at this, and this should be our #1 and top priority. And until every kid has a great education, we can never say that we're closed, even if we're not here. So I wanted to point that out and explain why I've brought you all here in the middle of July in the heat of summer. There really is a purpose to it, and there really is, by the way, work to do, as you can see from the agenda. But I think it's also important symbolically that we commit ourselves that we're going to be here all the time working on this stuff until things, are the way we want them. And then we're going to be here all the time working on making them even better. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Narvaez for the report of the superintendent. Dr. Narvaez.
Thank you. I can most certainly assure you that we are not closed. From what I have seen over the past 3 weeks, some incredibly hard work going on as we prepare to open our doors for our students. In fact, we've already opened our doors as we've begun early start July 7th. I've already gotten to 16 of our schools and pledged to get to all of them by December. I think I might even beat my own self-imposed timeline. And it's been fabulous to interact with our leaders, with our students who are engaged in the early start and elevation programs and credit recovery programs, to engage with our staff and our teachers. Before, I want to tell you a little bit more about my entry process and give you an update on the transition team work that's been going on. But before I do that, I want to recognize the incredible board that I have seated around me. I want to thank you for all of your support and for your confidence in me. This is truly a partnership. You recognize that it takes a strong board, mayor, superintendent partnership to get things done for our kids. So I just need to acknowledge your belief in the importance of our strong relationship. And I want to thank you for all that you've done for me so far. I really am grateful to have this board at my side, and I look forward to our journey together, so thank you. I also want to acknowledge many people in the audience who have made me feel so welcome and have made my transition smooth. My family and I are absolutely loving being residents in the city of Hartford. We are the biggest consumers of the Hartford Has It campaign, Mayor. And love all the activities that there are for families in the city of Hartford. So just loving our time in this city, and thank you to all of you in the audience who have made me feel so welcome. Let me give you a brief update on my transition team work. I was very intentional in my entry in laying out a process to study many aspects of the system. I have 5 key areas that I've asked a team of external and internal experts to take a look at so that I can understand the strengths of the system and the challenges that we face. So I've asked them to take a look at, of course, teaching and learning, our core business, organizational culture and leadership, because leadership matters, operational effectiveness and efficiency, because operations and strong, well-functioning operations enable us to focus on our core business of teaching and learning. Those 3 areas are pretty typical for transition teams. I asked them to dive into 2 more areas that I think are particular to Hartford and things that I've heard throughout the search process. It was the data that I gathered through questions people asked me over and over again. It told me what's important to the community and what people want to know about, and that is equity, including our choice process and taking a look at the services for our students who require special education and our English language learners. And I also asked them to investigate family and community engagement. So they've been boots on the ground. The transition team lead, Dr. Larry Leverett, was here last week interviewing about 20 stakeholders. We're reaching out extensively to all members of our community, both internally and externally. The engagement of the transition team helps to free me up. I too have a very extensive engagement calendar in addition to all of the school visits. I've had opportunities to engage with the HFT and some teacher leaders. I have a series of parent forums coming up where I can have conversations with parents in the community. There will be a series of community conversations where we will invite members of the community at large from across the city to come and engage in a conversation again about what's working in our school system and our hopes and dreams and aspirations for our children moving forward. I've been doing a series of one-on-one meetings with our elected officials, with our internal team members. community leaders, our partners, our supporters, and it's just been a great opportunity to learn as much as I can, as quickly as possible, about the Hartford Public Schools. I will continue to provide you updates about what I'm learning. August 1, I'll do an official update in writing about what we're learning so far and some next steps and some other opportunities to engage with me and members of my transition team as we're doing this fact finding. I've asked the team, I've been pretty pushy with them. I asked them to provide the final report in October, and at that time we'll have another process to engage with all of our stakeholders across the city to prioritize the findings and to craft a new strategic vision together, because this work needs all of us working together in partnership in order to take the system to the next level. I also am releasing a survey so that if you don't have a chance to attend one of the forums or to interact in a formal way throughout these meetings, you can reply to the survey online. We're really trying to reach out extensively and gather as much information as we can. So stay tuned. I'll continue to provide you updates on what we're learning. Please be on the lookout for opportunities to have conversations with me and members of the team, and the survey will be released shortly. So I look forward to hearing from you and thank those of you who've already started to engage with me in this important process. As I promised, I'd hit the ground learning, and it's been a great learning curve and a steep one, but thank you all for being part of it. As I mentioned before, I'm not the only one working hard and learning. July 7th, we launched our Early Start program for students, and it runs through August 8th, and we have 3 different programs that are offered. Early Start is a 5-week summer school program providing intervention for all students who aren't meeting proficiency on our district's universal screenings. The state mandates this for grades K through 3, but we mandate it for students in grades 4 through 7. And so this delivery model builds on the instructional program that occurs throughout the regular school year and just gives an extended year and other opportunities for students to solidify their learning. We also run for our English language learners an Elevation summer program. I've gotten to see this in action too. This was developed by the Middlebury Interactive Language Institute, and it's cool. It builds around 4 themes where kids get opportunities to do hands-on learning and get out in the community and have experiences that helps to bolster their language development. So they have 4 themes this summer, nice summer themes: baseball, wetlands, weather, and bicycles and transportation. So pretty cool stuff going on for our English language learners this summer. And last, we also have a credit recovery program for our high school students. There's a centralized program, and then Buckley runs its own local program as well. So I'm not the only one spending time learning this summer. We have many of our students who are keeping up their skills and ramping up what they need to know and be able to do over the summer. I have to say, as I was traveling throughout the schools, I got some words of wisdom from some students at Burr School the other day. And so they wrote some inspirational quotes for me. And the first, "Doing your best means never stop trying," Benjamin Franklin. And another piece of wisdom from the students at Burr School: "A problem is a chance to do your best." So a lot of great work going on with our students and our staff, our teachers, our leaders this summer. Speaking of students, our amazing students have won an award. 3 2014 graduates of the Journalism and Media Academy were recently honored by the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences for a public service video that they created to raise student awareness of the importance of daily school attendance. The High School Award for Excellence, also known as the Student Emmy, was presented to Greedy Montalvo-Fulcar, who was the director-producer, David Bowie, who was the director and editor, and Daniel Liven, the performer, last month at the offices of the Boston Globe. The video, Attendance Matters, follows a student who skips class only to be chased through the hallways and up and down elevators by his desk chair. The JMA video won for Best Public Service Announcement and was a runner-up in the Best Director category. The students used a technique called stop motion animation, which is a sequence of still photographs put together to make a video. This student Emmy is the first of what we hope will be many more awards to come about as a result of the district's 10-year partnership with the Connecticut Public Broadcasting Network. And I think one of the students was going to try to be here tonight is David Bowie here, and he was supposed to be accompanied by Donna Sedipo from Connecticut Public Broadcasting Network.
Good evening. How are you, Superintendent and Board of Education members? This is David and Grady and Daniel's Imping Award.
Excellent. Congratulations.
She's very shy.
Yeah, why don't you come up?
Congratulations. Awesome. I saw the video.
Congratulations. Thanks, Mark.
I can, yes. Individuals were interested in how they could see the video. It was actually featured in the Hartford Current. So if you go there, they actually included it, the link there. And then you can go on our website. We have it. And then it should be on the Journalism and Media Academy website. But I will make sure David Medina does have it. And we get it to the board members. So you should have that by tomorrow.
Excellent.
Great. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
I have it on my Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
Rounding out the end of the superintendent's report, I'm going to ask my team, some members of my team, to join me on this last item, and this is a report of our Welcome Center. In 2008, the Board of Education created the Welcome Center as part of its Community Relations Constituent Services policy. I have to say I've used the Welcome Center myself as a parent. The goal of the Welcome Center is to respond promptly and professionally to any questions or concerns of the public. The Welcome Center provides families with a bilingual one-stop shop for services that include representatives of the choice, transportation, special education, English language learner offices, and services for families experiencing homelessness. In order to ensure that the Welcome Center is fulfilling its intended goal, the Board of Education established an information management system for storing, tracking, categorizing, and analyzing inquiries and requests. This evening, I'm presenting to the board the required annual report on those inquiries and requests. And we have Mr. Eddie Hanau, Chief of Early Literacy and Parent Engagement, and Ms. Marta Bentham, Director of the Welcome Center and Ombudsman, to present a summary of the Welcome Center report and answer any questions you have. I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening, board members, Mr. Mayor, Madam Superintendent. Our goal tonight is to present to you a brief report on the data. You have the packet containing the entire set of data, and I'm joined by my colleague who needs no introduction, Marta Benton. So we'll proceed with the first slide. In 2007, the board established the Welcome Center as a result of policy 1206, which is the Constituent Services Policy. And the purpose of the Welcome Center was to actually professionally and in a prompt manner answer questions and inquiries from parents and from the public in general, the community. These inquiries are actually recorded, tracked, and by category, and then analyzed, and reported monthly to certain staff members in the district. The Welcome Center has this year 5, last year 4 permanent members of the staff. Marta is the Director of Family Services and Ombudsman. Judith Fagan, who's also in the audience with us tonight, is the Welcome Center Parent Advocate. Judith?
Where is it?
Right there.
That's Judith Fagan. Flor Zurita is the program assistant and supports Martha with the analysis of data. Von Marie Maldonado is the Welcome Center receptionist. And this year, actually, we transferred from the 8th floor to the Welcome Center, the person in charge of families and youth in transition, families that are experiencing homelessness. The Welcome Center 3 years ago was actually moved to the first floor of the main office on 960 Main Street to facilitate services to families, very easy access from the parking lot and from Main Street. Martha is actually going to take us through some of the review of the data, and then at the end, we'll be able to answer any questions.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Superintendent. Good afternoon, board members and mayor. Thank you for the opportunity to bring this data. Thank you for the opportunity to present it in your first board meeting, Mayor. I always get really excited about the data from the Welcome Center because it gives us the opportunity to see that we are growing, that we're growing as a district, that we're growing in all of the efforts that we're making. And the data on the first page, which is page number 3, the slide that's on the board, you will see that we have done a comparison for the 2012-2013. In the elementary schools, there is a difference. Now, what I wanted to, before I go on, I wanted to make sure that you understood that an intake is when a physical person, a parent, a community member, a teacher, somebody comes in with a parent, and we create an intake, and that person fills it out, and we begin the process either of mediation or resolving whatever issue. This year, we had 6,239. That is 754 more than we had last year. And there, we separate these intakes by complaints, concerns, and requests. And I am very happy to let you know that if they are not, this is not a complaint factory. This is actually a service delivery group of people that go. We are based in the first floor, but we go to schools, we go to churches, we go to different places to meet with parents. The elementary schools, you have a difference of 449. And that is because we have new schools. Once we have new schools, new parents have to come in, and they require assistance with uniforms, require assistance with supplies, and medical forms and all of that. The middle schools, we only had an increase of 22 parents. And in the high schools, we had a reduction of 88. The reason for that reduction is because we have been working very, very closely at the schools so that the parents have, and with the portfolio director for the high schools and with the parents and the principals of the high schools. So parents are used to seeing us at the schools, at the high schools, as opposed to them having come in. And they're using parent portal also with a little more knowledge on it, so they have become engaged in other ways. A number that I want you to really look at is the one that says other. That is new people that were out-of-district students or families that have moved into Hartford. And we have 3,058 new families. Those are families that were either had chosen to go on a choice by region, but also new families to Hartford. A lot of families from the Caribbean, a lot of families from Puerto Rico, South America. And now we're starting to see the wave of the children that are coming from the Mexico, from the border. Okay, so that is a very, very important number, because those are not children that we had anticipated on having. The following slide will show you the number of intakes per month. This is easy to determine what are the months that are the heaviest months at the Welcome Center. And there's July, August, September are very, very heavy, and this is mainly because it's the beginning, either the end of the school year. Lots of parents come in requesting information why their children have to go to summer school, what happened during the school year, and making some changes to what they see the needs for their children in order to be successful. And also new families that have moved during the summer months, and this is the placement process where they need to go through. The rest of the year slows down, but we already know the trends. Judith and I can tell when there's parent-teacher conferences, it goes up. Whenever there is a very big event in the school, it goes up. But we can track it down to almost an exact science.
Martha, if I could just make one comment on there. I did the percentages, and those 4 months alone, June, July, August, and September, account for 58% of the visits. And the other 8 months are 42% of visits. So those are the heavy months.
And believe it or not, it's our nicest month. The 5 reasons, on the top 5 reasons. Choice related, it is a very, when you see the number 3,375, I want you to know that 3,751, when the difference is 376, is because we have a lot more choices for parents. We have a lot more parents are much more engaged in the decision process. They really want to know, they really want somebody to explain, help me make a decision, tell me the difference between this school and that school, tell me the difference between an expeditionary learning system, or let me know what the difference is between Sanchez and Burns, who are right next door to each other. Why should I choose this and that? So that choice related is mostly requests. Transportation is usually at the beginning of the school year, and the student transfer request, it is throughout the year. It is children whose parents, for safety reasons and other reasons, either they have moved out of the zone, they are requesting a transfer for their children. We have had a very, very big reduction in a lot of concerns that people, for example, special education, those are requests as opposed to concerns or complaints. With the special education is parents coming in to ask, how could you help me understand this particular IEP, what does this mean? So it is not complaint. So that's why I said the reduction in the special ed, I have seen a very big difference with the directors, special ed directors that we have on board, is that they have a very, very close relationship with the parents. And that engagement between them and the parents has worked fine. The Welcome Center priorities for next year are, we are using everything that we have available to us as district staff members. We have the richness of our colleagues who are the best in Common Core, who are the best in the decision with choice. So taking that into consideration, Judith and I have Judith and Flora, Marie and Shelly and I have the best technical assistance because it's our colleagues. The Common Core and SBAC is going to be our biggest push with the parents this year, again, to make sure that parents understand and that they find their role for their families and for their children, both with the assessment and with the curriculum. The reduction of chronic absence is something that we had done this past year, and we're honing in on it with using the family resource centers, which I supervise in the city, with the 5 schools that we have them, and using the family resource centers and the community schools to really look at the causes for chronic attendance and truancy. The partnerships with the parent training organizations is one of the most cheerful, enthusiastic parts of my job, because it is seen when parents are participating in their own education, to help their children. And this year we had the fantastic opportunity to work with Hartford Parent University, and I attended all of the sessions, and I learned from all of the sessions. In some of them I presented, and in some of them I learned. AFCAM, the Hispanic Health Council, those partnerships with those organizations enrich our lives and make our parents and families feel stronger. Choice is, the Welcome Center staff enjoys a very close relationship with the Choice staff, and Enid Ray, who's the director of Choice, and I are on speed dial. If we see that something is not working particularly well, we look for new strategies to address it and to correct it or to make it easier. This year, there was a decision made by Eddie and Enid to create a pop-up center which is just an addition of a space on the first floor, literally right next door to the Welcome Center, where new parents, especially the kindergarten parents or the pre-K parents, are coming in. So their process is a little different, and the Choice office has the new pop-up center there, and it's very cheerful. So I hope that you all get to visit it. In the process for Choice, Judith and I work a lot in helping parents accept the placement. Sometimes they have a difficulty because they wanted school A, but they got waitlisted for that school, and they have been placed at a school that was not their first choice. That doesn't happen often, but when it happens, it is highlighting to the parents the changes that have occurred at the school, and that their experience from 10 years ago is not the same school nowadays. So it's helping parents get to know the schools where they have been placed in a light in which they were not aware that the changes have been made. Working with the PTOs and the school governance councils, we are hitting the ground running. They are meeting, the superintendent is meeting with them July 31st at 5:30, and that's going to be, and after that we meet on a monthly basis. Mr. Henao conducts a meeting on a monthly basis with them. Supporting the initiative of Parent Portal is in our task list, because every parent that comes to the Welcome Center, if they don't have an email address, we create one for them and we give them a card, and they say, no, miss, I don't have an email address because I don't have a computer, and we let them know that they don't need a computer, that an email address is free, and that we have computers at the Welcome Center for them to use. So we create the email address for them and help them create their Parent Portal page. The underrepresented parent groups. That continues to be one of my favorite groups, and you have all heard me over the years say about, the foster parents, the grandparents raising grandchildren, the homeless, but there's a new group that I want you to be aware of, and it's the veterans and the wounded warriors, because I have been noticing, I have been tracking down some of them that have been registering their children, and I'm starting to group them to create learning opportunities for them and for their children. They might just have left the service and they have arrived in Hartford to redo their lives, and some of the paperwork that they need they may not have. So I'm using some of what I will learn from the Social Security Administration office, which is right next door to us, to help them through the paperwork that they need. The Welcome Center is a multi-language service planet, and we have developed through the years ways to communicate with anybody from anywhere with any language, and we are very successful at it. Judith, Flor, Bonmarie, Shelley, Mar, and I, thank you for your support. Thank you for the support you have given the families. And I am very, very lucky. We're looking forward to this new year with enthusiasm. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Brescia.
Well, I would like to comment. I'd like to commend you on this very complete, cogent report and on the fine work you seem to be doing. And I think we should note that you're not closed in July.
No. No, we're not. We were open in July.
Mr. Chair?
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Brescia?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I just want to thank you and your team for the great work that you're doing with our families. Not just in terms of providing the support, but I also know that your office also provides some very critical help during very difficult times with some of our families that are hit by crises. I know from the report that a lot of the activity happens in August, and we know that August is a heavy vacation month. So I just want us to be mindful of that in terms of how we resource your part of the operation, especially as it relates to the interface between the work that's done with Choice.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair?
Dr. Colon-Rivas?
Yes. Thank you very much for presenting the data. I think this is
great opportunity for us to take a look at what's happening at the Welcome Center. And we truly appreciate what you do with our families. They call our office most of the time. We recommend them to the Welcome Center, and 100% of the time they'll call us back thanking us for allowing them the opportunity to work with your staff. So thank you for that.
Thank you, sir.
I wanted to make sure that when you talk about the requests, I believe it was the page 5, that these are the most frequent asked questions by parents in the community. And I'm not sure if there's an opportunity to create such a document that can go into the community with this most frequent asked questions, since you have them. I mean, you have a good, robust number of questions asked by a good large amount of our parents. So it might be beneficial for the Welcome Center to have a new document which is distributed to the entire community. So even though I'm not asking the question, I might be interested as a parent to help my neighbor around the same question that they asked. So aside from that, everything else looks great. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rivas, and that is a very good suggestion, and we will follow up on it.
Mr. Chairman.
Dr. Best.
Hi there. Thank you so much for what you're doing, and it's wonderful to know that in Hartford we have a welcome center. That's a wonderful place for our parents. I'm wondering, how are we measuring parent satisfaction? I'm wondering, is this pleasurable for them, or is it a motor vehicle experience?
Okay. Thank you for asking that question, Dr. Best. I can assure you it's not a motor vehicle experience. Most people who know me know that I couldn't tolerate a motor vehicle experience, but this past year where we were, it's when you're measuring parent satisfaction, you have to be very careful because you don't want to offend them. So I have been asking other parents, how could I measure it? How could we as a staff measure it? And we have come up with an idea of this little card that will be at the end when they're exiting the Welcome Center, or that they can mail to us from any mailbox. It is just with 5 questions. What worked? What did not work? How could you make it different? Would you like to volunteer? And finally, please call us, because I'm trying to find a way to measure the satisfaction without interfering or helping parents feel welcome without them having to say, oh, they're evaluating me as well. They are so evaluated in so many ways. But I can assure you, the motor vehicle experience, it's not. But I will think about it, and I will ask my colleagues to help me, especially the people in assessment, to create that particular document in a very substantial way.
And I think that's wonderful. I would suggest that there be a way of evaluation that's verbal and in paper. And so perhaps the study of evaluation measures, so we can have a built-in quality assurance program for the Welcome Center. So perhaps there could be focus groups of parents that are coming through when they're not in crisis, or other ways of engaging feedback. A lot of people don't want to fill out surveys. So if there's some way of talking to people, or telemarketing, a follow-up call. Can I call you in a few weeks to see how you're doing? Different measures, because oftentimes as systems we create things, but we have no way of getting a sense of what it feels like to the other person receiving it.
Dr. Best, I would venture to say about 90% of the parents that Judith and I see get a phone call back within 24 hours. All of those parents, a week after they have been at the Welcome Center, we call them back. Hi, how are you, Mrs. Simmons? How did it go with the principal? And a lot of them write to us and say, we had the PPT meeting, it went well, or we had the meeting and it was a discipline meeting and it did not go well, or we had the meeting, the 504 meeting. So we get a lot of feedback. It's putting that feedback into, which is the one that's verbal. Sometimes we get referrals from board members, and usually the parents write back saying how it was, but it's gathering the information and putting it together. So we will work on that.
Because I think it would be powerful next year to hear your wonderful endorsements from parents. What percentage of parents? 95% of the parents thought it was wonderful to come to the Welcome Center and X, Y, and Z.
And one thing that we are very good is we are very good in customer service assistance. We're very, very good. And sometimes when we make a mistake, we own up to the mistake immediately, correct it, and never do it again. That's our motto.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Further questions?
Could I ask for your assistance in this matter?
I will pray for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Reg. Thank you very much. That's the best assistance.
Mr. Stallings.
I wasn't ready for that one. I just want to commend you and say thank you also. I was actually one of those parents who've gone through the Welcome Center consecutively, I said 3 consecutive years. Had a lot of issues with school administration and grades, and it was a very contentious and rough process, to say the least. And I mean very, very contentious, to a point where we almost came to blows a few times, and and Martha and Judith were there to make sure, to make sure that I behaved. So one, I just want to thank you for that. 2, you made me a smarter parent. You made sure that I was educated on the process, that I was able to advocate for my child. He is a senior at this school now, actually just walked in, came from football practice. He's well adjusted. I'm hopeful for his future. I am thankful for the work that you've done, you in your office, Ms. Fagan, as well. And you're actually the reason why I'm sitting here. So I am one of your success stories. I am one of those parents that can say, you helped me and you helped further my child's education, and you impact my family. And you were a positive influence on my family, as well as making sure that I was ready for this opportunity. I've learned a lot from Mrs. England. I learned a lot from, I'm tongue-tied right now, Enid. And that's because of the foundation that you've laid and the work that you and Ms. Fagan has done. And Flora, whom deserves a raise because she works tirelessly and she's extremely loyal. And the work that you're doing with the youth, I think is outstanding. Because again, I started my entire political career as an intern, a student intern in the mayor's office. So I just want to say thank you. I'm going to join you in continuing that positive work for our families, for our children, and for our parents. And I look forward to working with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anything further? Nothing further. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That ends the superintendent's report.
Item 3, committee reports. Ms. Altieri, could you give the report of the Finance and Audit Committee?
Good evening.
Welcome back from vacation.
Thank you, thank you. And the finance department wasn't closed either, so.
Finance department's never closed.
They were never closed, okay.
Never.
So the Finance and Audit Committee met on Monday, June 23rd at 5:30 in the Superintendent's Conference Room. In attendance were Chairman Waring, Board Member Craig Stallings, Dr. Slater, Dr. Brazano, and various members from the finance and operational leadership teams. There were 5 agenda items that we discussed. We reviewed the financial report through May 31st for general funds, special funds, and fringe benefits. I'm happy to report that we're still running a very small but surplus fund in the general fund is being projected, and we hope will remain there. We are on track with special funds in terms of carrying over and expending according to the grants, the grantor's request. The second item was a discussion of the facility options for central office. As you know, we leased the space over at 960 Main Street, and one of our priorities over these many years is to look at our leased facilities and see if we can find permanent homes. So we discussed some of our options available to us as that lease will be expiring in August of 2015. We also discussed the budget development calendar and came to consensus about the 2015-16 budget development calendar and when we'll kick off that process. And discussed policy discussions, which we might refer to the policy committee related to developing board policies potentially around school fundraising activities and student activity accounts and further strengthening existing policies of the board. And the last was requests made by the parent-teacher organizations. We'll be providing some training to the parent-teacher organizations, and they've requested some audit assistance. So we wanted to let the committee know that we will be facilitating some discussions and guidance discussions with them and assisting them as much as possible. Our next meeting of the Finance Committee is on Monday, August 25th. All members are welcome to attend, and it will be beginning at 5:30 in the Superintendent's Conference Room at 960 Main Street. That concludes my report of the Finance and Audit Committee meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Alfieri.
Thank you.
Before you go, I wanted to thank Dr. Slater and Mr. Teal. I drew them into the Finance Committee, I don't know, about a year ago now, 15 months ago, and they have really done a great job with transportation, taking it from a budget item that was both outside of budget in terms of forecast, but also out of control in an absolute sense, and have brought that to not only some degree of predictability, but also at a much better number that has allowed us to get the job done with relatively flat funding over the last 2 years. And as hard as I am on them, I wanted to call them out for a little congratulations for some really good work around a very, very difficult and challenging issue. So thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
School Choice and Facilities Committee, Dr. Colon Rivas.
Yes, good evening, everyone. On June 24th, we had an in-depth presentation by Enid Ray. We had the opportunity to take a look at a deeper look at the choice data. And the more we look at the data, the more complex looks. And Enid, Ms. Ray, I would like to commend you for the work that you're doing around choice. It's imperative for us, for the entire community to really understand, get a better understanding of how choice works within our district, and you have done that for us so far. So out of the meeting, I have 2 recommendations through the chair. I would like to recommend for all board members to go through an in-depth presentation like the one we went through in the School Choice and Facilities Committee, done by Enid Ray. I believe it's imperative for all of us to really understand and have that common language when it comes to a school choice. And also to continue working with the Welcome Center in facilitating information to parents in the community around choice. And I know that has been part of the work that you have been doing, but I truly believe that it's our learning curve as an entire community. Our next meeting will be August 19th at 8:30 at 960 Main Street, and that concludes the report.
Thank you very much, Dr. Colon Rivas. Move on to the business agenda. Sub A, items in order of importance. Administrative appointments, superintendent at all. That the Hartford Board of Education approves the superintendent's recommendation to appoint Dr. Ghislaine Nunu to the position of Chief of Staff effective August 1, 2014. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Dr. Narvaez?
Yes, thank you. As you may know, this position is vacant due to the retirement of Dr. Alex Nardone. I'm very pleased to recommend to you a very talented woman, Dr. Ghislaine Nunu, who is a recent graduate of Harvard this new doctorate in educational leadership. It's a program with the Harvard Graduate School of Education, the Kennedy School, and the Harvard Business School. So it's quite a comprehensive training program. She spent the last year as the doctoral resident to the superintendent in Montgomery County, Maryland. So learning all facets of the superintendency as well as chief of staff work in a very complex, immense system of 151,000 kids in 202 schools. She also has an extensive background and knowledge and passion for community organizing and engagement. I also respect and welcome her knowledge of internal engagement and how we build strong teams, particularly at the senior level. And we'll be looking to Ghislaine, Dr. Nunu, as a connector within our organization to make sure that we are aligned and coherent and that we don't operate in silos and we become and strengthen our work as a team and become a high-functioning team internally. I want to ask her to be a connector across the community because, again, we need everybody to do this work for our children in the city of Hartford, to connect with our colleagues in City Hall, and also to just make sure that we have proper protocols in place to help us be that strong, high-functioning organization that we need to be to focus on our children and teaching and learning. She has a background as a teacher, as an instructional coach, started as an engineer, and realized that that was not her life's calling, that her calling was really serving children and families, and has had a lot of great experiences that she will bring to this position as chief of staff.
Thank you very much. Are there questions or debate on the motion? No questions, no debate. Hearing none, the chair calls question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any against? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Dr. Nunu. Sure, why don't you come up and say a few words? First of all, I think I speak for Mr. Cotto when I say myself, you can never have too many Harvard people. Yeah, I never had too many Harvard people.
Good evening, members of the board. Good evening, Hartford community. I'm just so humbled and so excited to be joining the family that we have here. And when Dr. Narvaez approached me and we talked about what the work we require here, I went into high gear and I was like, okay, let me read and find out as much as I can. But there's only so much reading that you can do. And I really look forward to becoming a resident of the Hartford community and to joining you in the work, the hard work that you do to improve experiences and outcomes and opportunities for the young people that we serve. Many of them look like me. So knowing what education and opportunities has done for me, I'm really committed to being here, and I really look forward to learning alongside Dr. Narvaez as a newbie on the block. And she spoke about being a connector. I don't think coming from the outside, I can be the sole connector, so I really realized the importance of joining forces, and I really look forward to tapping into the vast amount of knowledge and wealth that you all have, and to figuring out how we move forward and create even more opportunities and success for our young people. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Mr. Mayor.
Superintendent Chevalo Narvaez met with me to discuss your selection. She didn't need to, but I was very pleasantly pleased that she did take the time to sit down with me and share with me the strategy, her reasons, and your credentials, which are just very, very solid. Chief of Staff is a very important position, and I just want to extend to you my support and let you know that the doors of my office, wearing my mayor hat, are very open for you. And whatever you need, we are there to work together to make your job easier, and most of all, make sure that you and our educational community succeeds. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Anything else? Nothing. Thank you, Dr. Nunu.
Thank you. Thank you.
Moving right along. 6A2, acceptance of funds, Connecticut State Department of Education incubation funding for Montessori Magnet School at Moylan, $3,140,893. Currently, Montessori Magnet has outgrown the temporary space at Moylan School and as such is in need of a new location. The State Department of Education will provide the cost for incubation funding. The incubation funds will allow for the Montessori Magnet schools to be located in temporary quarters until a new permanent facility is identified. These funds will contribute to the purchase of portable classrooms, furniture, and equipment needed. And the resolution, as I read it, is that the Hartford Board of Education approves the city's acceptance of $3,140,893 on its behalf for the Connecticut State Department of Education incubation funding for the Montessori Magnet School. Furthermore, that the Hartford Board of Education approves the incubation site of the new school at the McDonough School property. Furthermore, the Hartford Board of Education approves to bring this project to the Hartford School Building Committee. And even furthermore, that the Hartford Board of Education approves the purchase of a small parcel of land adjacent to McDonough with incubation funds, estimated cost at approximately $20,000. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as stated? It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Dr. Narvaez.
Yes, thank you. In 2013, the Board of Education approved the development of Montessori Magnet as a school and also approved its magnet operations plan. This magnet school has been sharing space with the Expeditionary Learning Academy at Moylan. Montessori Magnet has outgrown its space at Moylan due to its natural growth as a school, and its very robust applicant pool indicates that the school will continue to grow to its full enrollment of 400 students. We negotiated with the State Department of Education for incubation funds to house the school in temporary classrooms that will permit it to continue growing while we search for a permanent location. The State Department has already dispersed $3,140,893 in incubation funds out of the estimated $6.7 million that would be needed to fully incubate the school. Tonight, we're asking the Board of Education to authorize the acceptance of those funds for us to begin phase 1 of this project, would include the design, architectural specs, etc. And so I've asked my team to come to the table to provide a little bit more detail and to be available to answer any questions you have about this proposal. Again, we welcome back Mr. Eddie Hanau, and also joining him, Dr. Donald Slater, our Chief of Operations, and Ms. Enid Ray, Director of Choice. And Enid, I'm going to hand it over to you to provide just a little bit more background and detail about the proposal in front of the board tonight.
So thank you, and thank you to Mayor, Superintendent Narvaez, Board Chair, and board members. As you might recall, Montessori Magnet was magnetized as a program as part of this Chef 2 stipulation, knowing that this is one of the most highly subscribed programs in the magnet options. With over 800 applications this year, we quickly moved to discuss with the state the possibility of incubation funding. This is the first phase of a process that will take us to securing its permanent location. As you heard tonight from parents, this school and its magnet designation was done a little different in that all the community students, all the students who were there as a neighborhood school remained. So it is largely a neighborhood school, still as a magnet school, with students attending that school having siblings at both Moylan and McDonough. So you have families who are using the full breadth of our portfolio. And so what we're asking the board to do and look at today is approving the first step so that we can begin the discussion of siting, site preparation, and community engagement around the location of the school.
Anything else from staff? No. Questions for staff? No questions for staff. Stallings.
Could you just explain what you mean? You're preparing the site to house this school permanently? Is that what I understood? Yeah, so could you just explain that to me?
And Don can chime in. Essentially, the school has already grown, and so
given that it takes time with the state to do the negotiations, as you may be aware, for incubation funding, we're now at the point where the state has released funding. We can now begin with the city process for procurement to locate the school on that site temporarily. So this funding will allow us to, begin that process of hiring the architect, having the conversation about how it should be situated, putting into place all the necessary pieces and administrative protocol to have the school temporarily there.
Further questions? No further questions for staff. Thank you, Ms. Ray. Dr. Slater, Mr. Now. Any debate on the motion? Hearing no debate, chair calls the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Are there any against? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item 3, contract approval, chef operation grant for the Hartford Public School Regional School Choice Office, $850,000. The State Department of Education provides funding to the Hartford Public Schools HPS to operate as part of the Regional School Choice Office on-site, State Department of Education. With this funding, HPS performs duties and responsibilities to support the implementation of the Phase 3 chef stipulation and other duties related to magnet school compliance and lottery operations of HPS magnets and the open choice program into Hartford. That the Hartford Board of Education approves the City of Hartford's acceptance of $850,000 on its behalf from the Connecticut State Department of Education for the operation of the Hartford Public Schools Regional School Choice Office for 2014-15, and furthermore that the Hartford Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to negotiate and execute a contract with the State Board of Education on its behalf for the operation of the Hartford Schools Choice Regional School Choice Office for the items delineated in the contract ending on June 30, 2015. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution? It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Dr. Narvaez.
Yes, thank you. The Regional School Choice Office, also known as RESCO, is a State Department of Education entity that manages the marketing, application, and lottery processes for the magnet schools and for the open choice process. The State Department of Education operates the RESCO in partnership with the Hartford Public Schools, CREC, and the chef plaintiffs. In 2008, the State Department of Education entered into a contract with the Hartford Public Schools for an HPS team to assist in the management and operations of the Regional School Choice Office. Since then, the State Department of Education has funded the Hartford RESCO team each year. The renewal of the contract aligns with the agreements of the Chef 3 stipulation to help reduce racial, ethnic, and economic isolation of Hartford students. These funds cover the staffing and marketing resources necessary for the effective marketing, recruitment, and placement of students once selected by the RESCO lottery into our HPS magnet schools and the open choice program into Hartford. The State Department of Education will send these funds directly to the City of Hartford. And again, members of my team, Mr. Eddie Hanau and Ms. Enid Ray, are available to answer any questions you have about this proposal.
Are there questions for staff on this? No questions for staff. Is there any debate? Hearing no debate, the chair calls the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Are there any against? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item 4, second reading and adoption, policy number 6126, field trips. The Hartford Board of Education accepts the second reading and adopts the policy on field trips. Is there a motion to adopt the second reading of the policy? It's been moved. It's been moved and seconded. Dr. Narvaez?
Yes, thank you. As Dr. Taylor isn't able to be with us tonight, I asked Mr. Jonathan Swan to walk us through the proposed changes to the field trips policy. This is a second reading of the policy tonight. Mr. Swan.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Chairman Waring, Mayor Segarra, Dr. Narvaez, and the rest of the board members. Just want to provide a little background and then talk about some of the significant changes in the policy, then open up for any questions. The last time that the policy was updated was in 2005, so you can imagine over the almost 9 years since, there have been quite a few field trips. As an example, in 2013-14, there was approximately 1,500 field trips in the Hartford Public Schools. So all of the conversations and discussions that happened throughout the approval or not approval process of those trips really led us to today having to revise this policy. So there were multiple conversations with different people at the central office, including the transportation department, the health department, food services, risk management, and finance. They also looked at a bunch of policies from other districts in addition to policies provided by the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education. That draft was brought to the policy subcommittee meeting where additional feedback was given, and it has all informed the draft that you have in front of you today. So I'll just quickly talk about some of the changes that are in there and then pause for any questions. The policy itself actually only has one change that you'll see. I'll point to page numbers, although I won't go down each of the pages in their entirety. On the page 1, you'll see under bullet B, there's one addition there in the language of the policy. The majority of the changes actually are in the administrative regulations. Page 2, you'll see that there's language that allows for field trips that are for the purpose of incentives. Although the primary goal is to make sure that they're educational, we do allow for incentives, whether it be for PBIS or other improvement efforts. We want students to be able to benefit from that, end of year trips, so on. We also add a lot of language around pre-approval, making sure that schools go through a process to get approval before they engage in official conversations with parents and students. We have had situations where parents and students have been really excited about a trip before it was approved, and then the trip was actually denied. So we want to avoid that by getting pre-approval beforehand. If you go to page 3, 2 changes that I'll mention is that we just combined some information about meals and medical considerations that lived outside of the policy previously, but those are things that need to be factored in as schools plan trips. And we also put language to make sure that the necessary planning is done to include students with physical disabilities on the field trip. So if there is special transportation that needs to happen, that needs to be planned out ahead of time. Page 4, major changes there. We increased the ratio, especially for the lower grades. Previously, the ratio was 1 adult for every 12 students, regardless of the grade level, but consistent with a lot of other districts, we did change those ratios in the lower grades so that we can ensure that there are more adult chaperones supporting our kids. Also, we made sure that there was language that stressed the fact that financial considerations should not restrict students from field trips. We have had situations where almost as many students could not participate as students who could participate. So with proper planning and the necessary fundraising or what have you, all students should have an opportunity to participate on a field trip that is of educational value. And there's additional language on that page, additional ensure that was added by risk management as well. Page 5, I'll note one change. We did add that in an emergency situation, at the conclusion of the trip, to make sure that schools document that emergency situation using the existing unusual incident form. And lastly, on page 6, we added language to make sure that schools were considering the things they need to as it relates to water safety, that includes swimming or any boating activities. We also added language about insurance certificate for boat usage as well. That also came from risk management. And then lastly, we added enrollment in the U.S. Department of State Smart Traveler Enrollment Program for international travel. So by using this free service for U.S. citizens and nationals, once enrolled, the school will get important information from the embassy about safety. It will help the embassy contact you in the case of an emergency, whether it's a natural disaster, civil unrest, so on and so forth. Also help the families of people who have traveled to get in touch with them in the case of an emergency. So those are some of the more significant changes, and I'll pause now for any questions you may have.
Questions for Mr. Swan?
Just a comment,
Mr. Mayor.
President. This is probably one of the best, most thought out travel student participation policies. So I just want to say that a lot of effort went into it to make it relevant and up to date. So it's a good policy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Questions? Mr. Stallings.
I have a question. Simply, and I hate to be cynical, but what if a school does not comply and seek pre-approval when they go to a field trip? Is there any type of recourse or repercussion that you are going to propose to add to the policy?
is there recourse if a school does not follow the policy?
Yes.
Yes. Depending if the principal, as the chief executive officer of the school, if not following the policy, it will be handled by the portfolio director of that school to make sure that the policy is followed in the future.
Okay.
Further questions? No questions, any debate on the motion? No debate, chair calls question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any against? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Swan. Sub B, consent agenda. The chair moves that 5, 6, and 7, with those 3 items in the consent agenda, be taken up as a single item. Is there a second to my motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any debate on the motion to combine the 3? Stallings.
I think that we should not combine the 3. Give me a second. I would like to look, I think we should take up the, I would like to take up principals separately. Oh, yeah, sorry, I was reading. So I would like to amend to move your motion to take up that matter, take up these items separately.
This is the split off item 5?
Yes.
Okay, the maker does not deem that to be a friendly amendment, so is there a second to Mr. Stallings' motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any debate on the amendment to the motion? No debate. Chair calls question. All in favor of Mr. Stallings' amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All against? Nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it. We take it up separately. Item 5, acting administrative appointments. The Hartford Board of Education approves the superintendent's recommendation to appoint the following individuals to the positions indicated. A, Melanie Brady Shanley to the position of acting principal, HPS Nursing Academy, effective July 23rd. Zindalin Gordon to the position of acting principal, Classical Magnet, effective July 7th. Victoria Morse to the position of acting principal, STEM Magnet School at Annie Fisher, effective July 23rd, 2014. Is there a motion to adopt that resolution? It's been moved and seconded. Is there debate on the resolution? Mr. Stallings.
Are the candidates here? Are they the principals here tonight? Just one? 2? 3? I would like the opportunity to, and I think that it'd be fair for the board to ask each individual a few questions before we assume the responsibility of appointing these principals acting in the schools.
Fair enough. It's consistent with our past practices. If the 3 who'd like to come forward and just introduce themselves, say a few words about themselves and what they hope to accomplish as interim or actings, as actings. I think that's consistent with what we've done in the past. Okay? So, come on down.
And just to clarify, we're just asking them to introduce themselves and say a few words about the position as Dr. Nunu.
Basically, yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Great, thank you.
Could I just point out that there's a 4th person on the next page?
Oh, there is? Okay.
One of our people is not here.
Oh, okay. Taloria Wilson, in the position of acting principal, high school. I want to add that to the motion. High school, but Taloria is not here. Okay.
I'm right here.
Oh, then who's not here?
Xander.
Oh, Xander's not here. Okay, so fine. Ladies?
Good evening. I'm Taloria Wilson, acting principal of High School Inc., and I am very excited and elated to fulfill this role that has been recommended by my former founding principal, Terrell Hill. I'm excited to be a part of the Hartford Public Schools, and I look forward to continuing the success that High School Inc. has been achieving, especially with our graduation rates, in addition to our exceptional rates with our MAP assessments in comparison to the other high schools in the district.
Thank you.
My name is Melanie Brady Shanley, and I've been the former sitting principal at Annie Fisher STEM Magnet School and founding principal of the school. I am blessed with the opportunity right now to continue my reform and turnaround efforts by working in a team manner at the Nursing Academy at Hartford Public High School.
My name is Victoria Morris, and I'm really looking forward to being the acting principal at Annie Fisher STEM, continuing the fantastic work that has been done by Melanie Brady to get it going, get it running and being one of the most successful schools in the district. At the same time, I'm really excited to move it forward since I know that if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. So I want to keep the motion going, and I'm very excited to reach out even more to the communities and get them more involved in what's going on at this great school.
Any questions for any of the candidates?
I don't have any questions for the
Go.
candidates. I don't have any questions for the candidates.
Okay.
I have a question about process.
Okay.
If you want to take other folks first, if anyone else has questions for these folks, I can come after that.
I have a question.
Dawn, sure.
Okay. I guess I'll start with, what is it? High School Inc. Just, can you quickly describe to me what your vision for the school is and how you can impact the neighborhoods, particularly Zone 1 and 2, in terms of inspiring our children to become more professional and to seek professional careers in the insurance industry, which is such a vast industry.
And pardon me for not acknowledging the chairman of the board, Mr. Waring, as well as Mayor Segara and all the other respective members of the Board of Education. In response to your inquiry or question, our school, High School Inc., is approaching our 6th year of existence, and throughout that time of our school, we have achieved many notable accomplishments. We just recently were acknowledged as an Academy of Distinction through the National Academy Foundation down in DC, which is a distinction that academies receive by basically going above and beyond the expectations of what NAF actually stands for. In addition to being a distinguished academy, we also are a model school where other academies from across the state, across the country, have come to visit our schools to see the work that we've been doing. Primarily the work revolving around our strong connections with our business partners. Our advisory board is very supportive, as well as vested in the success of our students. Our theme, and my theme that I have also supported, is that we prepare students to be college and career ready. With that being said, we have ventured to join up with more schools such as Goodwin College, where we are going to be partnering with them starting in the fall, where students will be able to participate in a program called the Summer Academy. While they can go to school, high school, they will also be able to dual enroll at Goodwin College to be able to get credits while they're still in high school, which will further exceed and propel them to be college and career ready. In addition to that, we've added some great supportive staff to our building over this past month, a college career specialist, which is going to work in conjunction with our guidance counselor as well as our director of business partnerships to continuously solidify, refine, and foster the skills of producing college and career ready students. In addition, my goal is not to undermine the vision that has already been started, because I believed in the vision from the beginning, which is the reason why I wanted to work at High School Inc. So my goal is simply to continue to foster that vision, as well as begin to engage stronger ties with our parents as well as families at large, so that way they understand that High School Inc., although it is downtown, it is still a community school, and we are here to serve this community at large.
Well, forgive me, I don't know what the model or the theme of the school originally was, because I'm unfamiliar with that.
No problem.
But I guess, what type of business exposure are your children getting, and what type of, are they able to articulate certain principles, basic principles, either in the insurance industry or this business industry in general?
They are. So, for example, each grade level gets different experiences. So our freshman students are exposed to what's called a job shadow experience. Our sophomores are exposed to something called the Be Entrepreneurial Symposium, where they learn all the expertise and skills required to become an entrepreneur. Then once students become 16, whether it be their junior year or sophomore year, they are eligible for an internship, a paid internship at one of our business partner companies. Those people that sit on our advisory board, to be a member of our advisory board, they actually have to be able to produce and open up opportunities for our students to get those paid internships. So we don't have an advisory board where they just sit and take up space. They actually put their capital where their mouths are. In addition to all those experiences, our Director of Business Partnership is constantly solidifying and reaching out to new businesses to make sure that our students get exposed to 21st century exposure of what's going to be required of them to be successful in this society. In addition to that, as I mentioned, adding on a career and college specialist that will work in conjunction with our guidance director as well as our director of business partnerships. It's going to continue to enhance the already great foundation that we have here to make sure that our students will get that much more exposure and provide more partnerships with their business exposure as well as the college readiness, so that way they can understand how pursuing a career in insurance or finance will put them on a path that will be far ahead of many of their peers, because they'll be able to get a lot of those principles while they're in high school.
Last question. What of the child or student who does not attend high school or doesn't attend high school right away? What about the student who doesn't attend college right away, or chooses to pursue work instead of attending college? How are you preparing that student?
So part of the National Academy Foundation, something that has just been started and what we have already been doing as well. So the theme College and Career Ready, we understand that all students aren't going to eventually go to college if that's not really what they desire, but of course that is our focus. So in making sure that we expose them to what's available, we also make sure that we provide alternatives that if they decide that they don't want to pursue college, some of them, even though they may not get into a tier 1 college, may start off at a community college. So we make sure that they understand what possibilities are available there. We also, as I mentioned, have made partnerships with colleges like Goodwin College, or helping students understand that you may not necessarily want to go to a large school, but then starting off at a small school like Post University or University of Bridgeport or St. Joseph's College. But then there are students that decide that they don't want to go to college at all. We make sure that they get connected with many of our business partners, because many of them will still be able to, if not start college right away, by being exposed to the opportunities with the businesses, they will understand that college is definitely an area that they need to tackle and pursue, because it's going to make sure that they go forward in life. But I can't say that we don't have some students that don't go to college, because that's the reality. Some of them decide not to go to college.
Now, I'm sorry, one last question. When I finished my insurance course, I was able to sit for a national exam. Are your seniors prepared for that national exam?
That is something that is still being refined throughout the National Academy Foundation. We are definitely striving to make sure our seniors get to that point where they're able to fulfill those requirements, but there are some things that even up until the last conference that we just attended at the beginning of July, there are things being refined through NAF. So one of the pieces that they are implementing is called the NAF track certification. As students complete courses like financial planning, entrepreneurship, accounting, things of that nature, if they complete all the courses required for our theme, Academy of Finance, they will be able to get a certification that states they fulfilled the requirements of the NAF Academy theme. With that being said, our business partners have already joined in, have already signed off on it. Those students, once they continue on going to college, when they do come back to apply to a position, once they earn their degree in finance or insurance, that certification, NAF track certification, will ensure them not just an entry-level position, but it will get them the desired salary of someone that has that experience that comes with it because of the work that they've done in high school. So hopefully that answers your question.
Very much so. Thank you.
Further questions for Ms. Wilson? All right, hearing none, the chair will take the vote on Ms. Wilson. Mr. Cotto?
Are we going, so we're going to...
We're going to vote seriatim.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be sure about
Right.
that. Before we do that, can I ask my question about process? Just
Yeah.
in terms of all of them. The appointments are for acting principals, and it doesn't have a time period on here. So I'm curious as to, is there a finite time period that we're making an acting principal, like 6 months, 90 days, or is it, I don't know, what is the time period that we're making these appointments
It's
for?
typically indefinite until the permanent appointments.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted, I mean, that's fine as far as us knowing that that's...
I mean, all these have search, they're all going to have searches.
Okay, and that was my next question, is typically, and this isn't any reflection on your work, but typically the school governance council will have an opportunity to have a search for a principal. Oftentimes, very frequently actually, the acting principal or interim principal will have a chance to be in that search. So I just wanted to be sure and have like assurances from the superintendent that that is actually going to happen. Again, it's not a particular reflection on your work, it's just that our governance councils are very, I think they want to be involved in that process, and so whether it's you or someone else, they want that stamp of approval. So I just wanted to be sure that that actually...
No, absolutely. And that's why they're acting.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, if I could...
Dr. Evans?
could respond, and Mr. Cotto, I appreciate your question because it's helping to clarify the process, and you're absolutely right. This evening, we're bringing before you acting principal assignments so that we can go through the full school governance council process that we laid out, so we can engage the school communities in the permanent selection of the principals. We will absolutely honor that process as the next step moving forward. Thank you for the opportunity to clarify.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Anything else on Ms. Wilson? All right, hearing none, the chair calls the question on her appointment as an acting principal of high school Inc. All in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Are there any against? Congratulations.
Thank you.
Since Ms. Gordon is not here, we'll call the question on that. All in favor of approving the superintendent's appointment of Zandalyn Gordon to the position of acting principal at Classical Magnet School effective July 7th, signify by saying aye. 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 Are there any against?
Yes. Nay.
Nay. So one against, the motion carries. And since Ms. Morse only needs to be appointed if Ms. Brady is appointed, we'll do Ms. Brady first. Are there any questions for Ms. Brady? Chair hears no question. Is there debate on Ms. Brady's appointment? Hearing none, the chair will call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Any against?
Yes, I'm against.
One against, the motion carries. Congratulations. And finally,
Mr. Chair,
yes?
I do have a question.
Of course.
I'm just curious, since you've jumped into this zone of acting, and she was a principal already, if for some reason she doesn't end up appointed, where does she go?
I can respond
To
to
the
that.
principal purgatory?
We don't have principal purgatory here.
I think I'm already there.
No, we've talked to Ms. Brady about this and said that, if for some reason this position doesn't work out, she's not appointed the permanent position, she would go back to her permanent position as the principal of STEM.
Just checking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No principal purgatory.
My heart is open to be approved.
Right, I would think so. Yes.
I can continue this reform.
All right. Finally, we have Victoria Morse. Are there questions for Ms. Morse? No questions. Hearing no questions, is there any debate on her appointment? No debate. Chair calls the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Are there any against?
I'm against.
Motion carries. Congratulations, Ms. Miller. Okay, and that brings us to items 6 and 7, which are combined for a single vote. Is there any debate on items 6 or 7? Hearing none, the chair will call the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Any against? The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn at this time. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any against? It carries.
At Hartford Public Schools, we care about one thing above all, the future of our kids. That's why we're dedicated to providing all students with the knowledge and skills needed in the new global culture. Hartford Public Schools is thriving. More student success stories, more world-class facilities, more university and corporate partnerships, more amazing talent coming and staying in Hartford. This is how education is supposed to work. Welcome to Hartford Public Schools, where the future is present.